All right, welcome back to the Starfighter podcast, everyone. I am the host, as always, Dom. Hope you guys are having a great night. Hope you're having a good week so far. Um, and we are here tonight to talk about some things, some pretty exciting things in the world of entertainment, in the world of Star Wars. We are here to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. It is finally here, and we're going to be doing our spoiler heavy review. So brace yourself for spoilers. Hopefully you've seen the first episode by now. Give me just a minute and I'm going to add some music to the stream. Here we go. All right. As I was saying, we're here tonight to talk about the Book of Boba. Can't talk. The Book of Boba Fett, episode 1, and I believe it's called "A Stranger in a Strange Place." And before we get into the spoilers, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, here on the channel we talk about very exciting entertainment and basically everything nerdy. But of course, there is always something here on the channel for you. I think something that fits your taste, and we talk about a whole huge range of movies, TV, games, and we have some fun trivia nights as well that we will be getting back to soon. But yeah, hit that like and subscribe button for us. Do appreciate it. I'm going to be solo tonight, but going forward, we'll have some more guests here coming on soon to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. But tonight, it's just me. Now, we're going to get into it. First, right off the bat, I want to say, I was definitely excited about this show, very excited about it. I had expectations, I think, like a lot of people, especially being someone who really enjoyed The Mandalorian and just high regards for that. It's up there with like some of the best Star Wars content that we have. That's where I would place it. So, Jon Favreau writing this, and then David Rodriguez directing it again, or directing the Book of Boba Fett, because he took over like the big Boba Fett episode in Mandalorian. Definitely was anticipating and hoping to see some really great things here. And I really enjoyed this first episode. I think right now I'd give it probably an 8 out of 10. I've seen it a couple times now. And so we'll do a little bit of a breakdown, but just going a little bit more with just like my thoughts and kind of my hopes for this show. I think it's going to be really hard to top The Mandalorian. That was the biggest TV show in the world for a while. It kind of had its reign, and I don't think it's over yet. I think when we get season 3, it's going to be right back on top, and everyone's going to be talking about it, at work or at school. But I've been thinking on this when it comes to this show. Can Boba Fett do that same thing? Can it carry, that same hype, and can it go to the top as being like such a huge show like The Mandalorian, and essentially being Disney Plus's big show, the show to really look out for? And I'm a little bit skeptical. I think it's going to be maybe not very difficult. I do think that it will present a challenge, but I definitely think, especially because I have so much faith in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, kind of at the helm of these things, I have so much faith in them that I do think that Boba Fett can become that huge of a show, just like The Mandalorian. Only time will tell. Now, are we there yet with this episode? With episode 1? Probably not. The episode definitely left me wanting more. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, definitely kind of left me wanting more for sure. Um, this might be, a situation where it's more of like a slow burn, and that's definitely okay. Um, there were some really great moments in this episode that we're going to talk about. So let's just get right into it. We start out, and we see a lot of things that we saw in the trailers in this episode. So we start out with Boba Fett in the bacta tank. He's obviously healing from his injuries. I'm assuming that a lot of those injuries were before and during his time in the Sarlacc pit. And speaking of which, we get to, see him actually wake up in the Sarlacc pit, and which for especially your hardcore Star Wars fans like myself, like many others, this is a really exciting moment to see on screen. When it comes to the character of Boba Fett, this is something that a lot of us have been speculating. There, of course, were books that in the past that had mentioned, that had talked about Boba Fett being able to escape the Sarlacc pit, but those obviously were kind of pushed to the side, and they weren't canon anymore. They're now legends, and so for a long time we didn't know, is he alive, did he die? And now we know, of course. Well, we knew in Mandalorian too, because obviously we see him, but now we get to see what exactly happened, how he got out. I thought it was really great, him taking the air hose from the stormtrooper, the oxygen, and using that. And then, of course, he uses his flamethrower to burn through the Sarlacc pit and come out the other side. And definitely some great visuals. Gotta mention too, there's some really good music. Probably not as good and iconic as the Mandalorian music, but watching it this second time, and it didn't hit as strong the first time, but watching it again right now before I started the show, the theme just kept playing in the back of my head. So it is good, and it is catchy, and it will create a really good theme for Boba Fett and the character of Boba Fett as we know him to be now. So definitely hats off to the musicians, the producers as well, and writers. I believe Ludwig did do some of it, which he did the music in Mandalorian. Anyways, going forward, again, great to see him get out of the Sarlacc pit, and great visuals there. He is really taking a beating in this episode. Boba Fett is getting kicked around left and right. The Jawas go and take all of his armor, knock him out. Then the Tusken Raiders come and find him, and they beat him up and take him hostage. And then he wakes up. He's obviously then he starts to get beat up by um, the young Tusken Raiders too, and of course it's kind of like he's letting them a little bit, but he's just like, you can tell like he's just been in so much pain and turmoil, and like, drug across the dunes after he's been knocked out and beaten. Now he's getting, humiliated, slapped around um, by the kids, uh, and yeah, it's you definitely felt for him, and it's just it's ironic because of course we know Boba Fett as being, the most ruthless, the biggest name in the galaxy when it comes to bounty hunters, and he's usually the one dealing out the damage. But now he's just getting wrecked, honestly. So that was kind of rough. Um, so of course he tries to make that escape too, and that doesn't go well. Um, we have to talk about that Rhodian too, who is just irritating for some reason. Decide to, yell out and get him taken captive again. Well, then he got knocked out again for like the fourth or fifth time. Yeah, I can't stress that point enough. Boba Fett was just getting it handed to him. It was rough. Anyways, oh, and shout out to our viewers tonight. Hope you're doing well. Definitely leave your comments below. Let us know here how you enjoyed this first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. All right, so then of course we go back to the back to tank, and great to see. I don't know. Again, for your hardcore Star Wars fans, it's cool to see like little things like that, like back to tanks. To me, I thought they were always cool. From the moment I saw them, like with in Empire Strikes Back, Luke is inside one of those. So anyways, Fennec wakes him up, and he suits up. That was really a really great moment as well. Good visuals. Again, really great music behind it as the droids help suit him up. Puts on the helmet. He goes out there. It's business time, and we see like the villagers, or people from the town coming to give tribute, give some offerings. And of course there was that one Twilight guy who was kind of weird. I know I've heard some people say that maybe he wasn't like the best fit for maybe that role, or he just like, it felt like he didn't really necessarily fit with the story, with what else was going on. But I didn't mind him too much. He was a little bit irritating, but I think the big takeaway with that is that we're going to see more interactions, probably with him again, but really with his boss, whoever the mayor is. So that's going to be really interesting to see and come to find more about that, and maybe the dynamics that Boba and Fennec have with these other gangsters. That's what I'm most excited for to see. That's what I really want to see. So yeah. Here, give me 1 second. 1 second. Just had to send a message real quick. All right. Yeah, so pretty cool getting to see that. Of course, that's one of the big things that I want to talk about, is this new role that we're seeing Boba Fett in. I think it's something that we really have to think about, and I think adjust our mindset too, because this is not the same Boba Fett that we're used to. There are a lot of similarities, but I think that they're really trying to drive home the point that his character has evolved quite a bit to where we are now. I think that's very clear. And so, what do we mean by that? he's not the bounty hunter. He's now the crime lord, as he calls himself. He's the top dog. He's at the head, and he's at the head of everything, and just like running the show, running the underworld, in Tatooine, or at least on Mos Espa. So it's a little bit different, and I think I'm hoping that everyone can try to be on board with that, because I think that that's something that, if you had your heart set on him, um, being, just kind of, um, I guess the mysterious, and also that's another thing. The mystery is kind of gone too, but like that mysterious kind of like, um, bad lad that we know him to be in Empire, or, um, yeah, mostly in Empire and in Return of the Jedi. Like, he's not that same person. He is evolved, and also we're starting to see too that, he now, maybe he always did a little bit, but definitely now he has this code of honor that he carries with him. We saw that in The Mandalorian, when, Din Djarin tells him, okay, thanks, you guys can split now, and he's like, no, he's like, I'm committed to this, like, I'm honoring my word, I'm going to help you, find the child. He didn't have to do that. But yeah, obviously now he has this code of honor, which is really cool, something that you wouldn't expect from just your typical bounty hunters. He is just more evolved, definitely more evolved. And also he talks about it too, um, how, Jabba ruled with fear, but he wants to rule with respect. And that's not to say that he's not, that he can't be, ruthless and, um, very tough and intimidating. We saw him just take someone out with his rocket, you know, um, and he was going pretty nuts with like that electric staff there, in the middle of town when they got ambushed. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that I just hope that, everyone can kind of, try to adjust and try to see where they're trying to take this character, and give it a chance, because again, he's not exactly the same as we know or remember him. He's older, he's growing, of course, and he's going off in a different direction. He's not taking the bounties anymore. He's going to be in a position where he's, probably giving out, work to other bounty hunters, and he's more of a king than he is a soldier. Is basically what we're trying to say here. Anyways, let's talk about that ambush. Pretty good fight scene, of course. Oh, and also, he gets the Gamorreans too. That was cool, and obviously he needed their help in that situation too. Both Boba and Fennec needed the Gamorreans' help in order to kind of escape. And then Fennec is able to, chase after, those, the bad guys, and chase after them. Which, again, right before that, you know, Boba gets kind of like beaten up again. Which, yeah, I guess that might be a little like one of my complaints about this episode. I thought it was pretty solid overall. Um, but I really didn't expect for Boba Fett to just get beaten up so much. And I think, it's one thing for them to really drive that home after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit. Of course, he's exhausted, and then the Tusken Raiders are pretty ruthless. Um, but then, like, it's one thing for them to drive that point home, but then now, like, now where he's at, and like, again, he's the top dog, and now he's still getting beaten up. Like, didn't really care for that too much. But I don't know. There's probably stuff that we don't know too, because I was thinking about it more, and he had to leave like in the middle of his healing session in the back to pod, and so immediately when he kind of gets taken to the ground, and Fennec goes and chases after the others. He tells the Gamorreans to take him back to the Bactopod, and he gets back in there. Um, so maybe, like, I don't know, he was still in pain from before that. Maybe he's just dealing with. Maybe they're trying to let us know that um, he's evolved in that way too. He's not that same young fighter that we know him as either. He is older. Um, he very well could be weaker, although we don't want him to be, but that might be the case. And so, yeah, I guess there might be more to it. There might be more to it. So we will see. But he goes back into the pod, goes back, starts having the flashbacks again, which is really interesting. Um, and that's something that I wasn't like really expecting either. To see so many flashbacks, and I'm curious to know if that is going to be something that is ongoing. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Definitely want to know what you think on the episode, and how you enjoyed these flashback scenes, because this is something that is definitely unique to Star Wars right now. Is that Star Wars, like the movies and previous shows, Mandalorian may have had a flashback. I can't remember. Yeah, it did actually, with Cobb Vanth. But um, but prior to these shows, there haven't been flashback scenes, and I've heard a lot of people talk about that point before too. But I think it's good, and I can appreciate some good flashback scenes. This honestly reminded me too, the way that they kind of went about it reminded me of um, the Arrow show on the CW. And say what you will about CW shows, the first two seasons of Arrow, um, I think are widely regarded as being very good. And that's something that stood out about those shows, is that with those episodes, is that um, you had your main timeline followed by your previous timeline, a flashback, and together, like throughout the episodes, you were going back and forth a couple times and kind of seeing how, especially in Arrow, you would kind of see how like those prior circumstances, situations, um, moments in the main character's life, how they played a big part to where he is in the present time. And so I'm really curious to see more of that in the Book of Boba Fett, and how it really um, ties into who he is now. Maybe seeing even more reveals. Of course, I think the big flashback that we got was him escaping the Sarlacc pit. Again, a great moment for Star Wars fans to see that on the screen in live action. Very cool. Um, but yeah, I think we're looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Them using these flashbacks more going forward. Um, so yeah, getting back to the breakdown, he was totally fed up with that Rodian too, and like it's just, you kind of felt like irritation for him. Like there's no reason why that guy had to like um sell him out and sound the alarm, and he's kind of telling him that too, because Boba could have gotten both of them free. He was even looking out for him. He didn't even know him. He was like, do you want me to cut your bonds and let you free? And he was gonna help him, and no, he had to be a little jerk and yell, and then this is like his second chance. Basically, Boba's saying that he can get them off world. He's like, no, not having it. And he's like, okay, well, stop talking so loud. You need to be quiet. And of course, we get that scene where the Rhodian, they're digging in the sand. He touches it. I knew like right away. I was like, that's some kind of hand. I was wondering if it was going to be another crate dragon like we saw in Mandalorian season 2, episode 1. I'm glad that it was something different. If anyone knows what the name of that alien or creature was, would love to know the name. Maybe it's something brand new. Have a feeling it's not. I have a feeling just like the crate dragon, maybe that creature is also tied to older canon. I believe you saw the crate dragon in Knights of the Old Republic, I believe. Anyways, he looked pretty good as far as like the CGI and visuals. And our episode closes out with Boba taking down that creature right after the Rhodian gets taken out. Boba chokes out this creature and saving the young Tusken Raider. And of course, they definitely chopped off the head. The young Tusken Raider goes back. He brings the head over to like the rest of his town, his tribe. And you can see definitely like the tides have changed here. And now we're in a place where Boba has earned some respect with the Tusken Raiders. One thing I just think that's really interesting to see is how much value the Sand People put into these creatures. Like we saw back in, again, Mandalorian season 2, episode 1 with the crate dragon. It was a big deal for them taking it down, but also getting the pearl. And so with this creature, that head that the son had brought back, or I believe it was the son, whatever the young Tusken Raider he brought back, it was a big deal. There's a lot of value to that. They really respected it. Seemed like they really respected Boba for doing that. And that's why one of the Tusken Raiders handed him the water pod and gave him a drink. And that's how our episode closes out. Things have changed. And my guess is that next week's episode, maybe Boba is going to have, I think he's going to have a better, if we do see more flashbacks, he's going to have a little bit better relationship going forward with the Sand People. He's earned their respect. Maybe he's earned their trust. Hopefully, if that young Tusken Raider has any honor, he'll tell his parents and, the rest of the people that Boba actually saved his life from that creature. And of course, they would be, indebted to him at that point. So that's kind of my speculation there. But with our main timeline, what I'm thinking that we're going to see next week is more of that meeting with, which I also thought it was great. I didn't talk about it, but it was a great scene in the cantina, and the music, of course, a little bit different, but really cool. And the Twi'lek lady, I thought she did really good. And just like the dynamics there, and her showing that she respected him, or it seemed like she had respect for Boba, and this is all yours now, and is going along with him being in charge. So, but yeah, for next week, I'm thinking that we're going to see more of those dynamics. But now he's going to, there's that scene in the trailer where he goes and he's sitting at the table with like a bunch of other gangsters, bounty hunters, crime lords, what have you. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen next week. But yeah, I think this definitely could be more of a slow burn, but I think that we're going to be getting more big reveals. in some of these episodes. I really do think that they're gonna save a couple little things. There's probably gonna be multiple big reveals, but I would really venture to say that there's at least gonna be one really significant reveal in this show, and that's something that we give a lot of credit to Marvel for doing, especially with no spoilers, but especially with um, movies like Spider-Man or Shang-Chi even had some good reveals. Just Marvel in general. Um, we give them a lot of credit, but Star Wars does that a lot too. I mean, shoot. I mean, um, the last season of Mandalorian season 2, spoiler, you should have seen it by now. But the Luke Skywalker reveal at the end, like, um, they're gonna. I'm not saying it will be on that level because that's pretty much as good as you can get when it comes to crazy reveals in shows, but in TV. Um, but you know, they can definitely do more like that. They can definitely do more reveals like that in Book of Boba, and I think that we're gonna get that. So what that is, I'm not quite sure. I don't think that it's gonna be Mace Windu. It's not impossible, but I'm leaning towards no. I think people are still speculating that maybe we'll see him. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any Easter eggs that maybe I missed, or if you have any crazy theories, or don't have to be crazy, but just theories in general, fun theories, I want to hear about them. We want to hear about them. The rest of the crew definitely does too. Yeah, we will have Ethan and Jake back on here soon. Gonna be closing things out here for this episode tonight, but yeah, guys, let us know down below in the comments, and I do appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and I hope that you enjoyed this first episode like I did. Again, I'll say it did leave me wanting more. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It wasn't a perfect episode to me, but it was still really good, really solid for a first episode. There's room to improve, and I think that it really will, because like I mentioned already, I have so much faith in Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and I think that David Rodriguez is a great director as well. But the writers, I just have so much faith in, and I have faith in this character and in the story. So that's pretty much it for this episode 1 reveal. Hope you liked the episode. Hope you liked this review. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back soon. I'm going to be doing a full Hawkeye review here soon, because that one kind of got away from me because my wife and I were moving. But yeah, and I'll have some other fun episodes coming your way, guys. I am in the new studio now, as you can kind of see in the background. Absolutely love it. It's a really sick studio. And I want to give a little bit more of a tour. I'm almost done putting everything up, but I'll do that. And then we're going to also be doing more trivia nights again. We're going to get that ball rolling once again. But that's going to be it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great evening, and we will catch you guys later.